Hello everybody and welcome to Wine Free Wednesday. Yes, it is very hot here at the moment. I'm in my summer garb. All right, so this is Wine Free Wednesday. This is your moment in the week to pause and reflect, to make and anoint this one day in the week, if it might be the only day for you, or maybe it's one of several, that we make wine free. We go alcohol free on purpose, with intention, whatever, and we cope with whatever comes up for us. So I talk a lot in all of my work about the importance of mindset, skills, purpose, and identity, right? Mindset is how we think about ourselves and our relationship with wine and with alcohol and what we think we're capable of, right? Our thoughts drive the bus. Our thoughts give us perspective or lack of perspective, frankly, on our life. So that's so important. The purpose element is why we do what we do, why we're here in life, right? Why do we drink? What are we looking for when we drink? Right? There is always something. If you are unhappy with how much you're drinking, and you say it's kind of like I've got the angel and devil on my shoulder, we want to listen to this. We want to get deeper. We want to find out why. And then identity, how we show up, right? Do we show up as the person who is making this happen, or do we show up as the person who's like, I'm just never going to do this. It's never going to be possible. But the fourth element, the fourth leg to the chair, is skills. Now this is, I don't know if it's my favorite, but this is certainly the element of my work that is the most tangible and is the piece that makes the most sense initially to people. When we start working together, we're talking a lot about thoughts and we're talking a lot about identity. It's like, whoa, you know, how does that map to saying no to a wine? But skills is something we can get our head behind. And I firmly believe that when we go into this, we say, I want to drink less, whatever that means for you, there are skills to learn. This is something you can learn. This is not something, if you struggle with this does not mean that you're never going to figure this out. I want you to think about anything in life that you've learned. Even for me, right? How do I do a Facebook Live? Until a couple of months ago, I had never really done this. So it was a skill I had to learn, and I didn't sit and say, oh my gosh, I don't know how to do this. This is so terrible. What does this mean about me? And it is the same thing with drinking. Right? I want you to approach it from that perspective. This is a skill I can learn. I just need to learn the skills. So today, I want to talk about skills, and I want to talk about cravings. Cravings is such a core part of my work, because craving, what is a craving? It's really just a feeling of desire. It's a motivation that we have to take action. Our brain motivates us to do something. We have cravings, we have desire for all sorts of things in our life. If you're looking for a relationship, maybe maybe not talk about craving a partner, but we certainly would desire one. And so craving is just really when that desire becomes very intense. It can feel very overwhelming. But there are skills we can learn to handle this. I'm going to talk about demystifying. So that's sort of my what I want to talk about today, how we demystify this. So I want you to think about, when you think about cravings, so anyone who's here live and anyone, again, afterwards, drop in your comments, drop your questions. I will respond if you want coaching, if you've just got questions, I will respond. So when you think about cravings, what comes up? Kind of like, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Now, a lot of people tell me, and I was this way too, it is agony. It's like, oh, I just want to avoid them at all costs. It's like, hallelujah, if they don't happen, I'm so happy. But I remember that, oh my gosh, especially when I was going out, it's like, oh, I just know, it's going to happen. If somebody says, come on, Anna, I've got your favorite drink for you, I'd have this surge of desire, and I just knew I was going to capitulate. But I want you to think about this. Cravings are not terrible. They are not excruciating. They are not random. They are not unexpected. They are not a sign that you are weak. They are not terrible. They are simply these signs of desire. They are simply it's your brain motivating you to take action, with the action being to have a drink. Now, why is the question we want to ask, right? Because what happens is we can be totally fine. I remember this, I'd be totally fine at work all day, not a problem, drive home, not a problem. The moment I step through the door, that would be it, you know, and I'd be there at the fridge getting the wine out. I wouldn't, to start with, even know I was having a craving. That was how fluid that pattern was. But then as I started to back it out, I could feel it. Okay, here it is. I really feel, it's kind of like, you know, one of those sci-fi films when the protagonist is being pushed forward, they're being propelled forward. You kind of feel like you don't have control. You don't have control over your arm. Your arm is going for the bottle. It's going, and I don't want this. I don't want this, but I do. This is what we have. This is what's happening in the craving. And what happens there is we just start to become aware of it because we have these cues. Again, it can be at time of day. It can be because the weather. It can be a friend. You see a friend. It can be you read something. I joke, but this was honest to God the truth. I love watching EastEnders. That's my guilty pleasure. For any of you in the UK, EastEnders, very long running soap. And I'd be totally fine. And then they'd be in the Queen Vic. And they'd pour a glass of wine. I thought, oh, that's a good idea. And I'd be racing off to the kitchen to join them. Right? Until then, I was fine. But it was just, and what was happening when I slow this down was I was just having a thought about this, and then I was having the desire. And the desire was enough for me to think, okay, I want to get up and I want to walk to the kitchen and I'm going to pour the wine. So this all starts with you. I really want you to imagine that this is kind of like a movie script happening, right? Again, if you think about me there, watching the TV, watching, and then getting up and going to the kitchen. And we just want to chunk this down, and we want to just slow it down so that we can see what's happening, that we don't judge ourselves for what's happening. And we just want to understand the why. I mean, that's really the number one thing. And any of you who are using my off switch drink tracking planning app, by the way, there's a coaching feature in there now. Anna inside, take a look. Get 24/7 coaching in the app. But when we look at this and we put this in there, and we start to see what's going on, then we can see that. So in the app, I ask you to say why you want to drink. And often it's because we want to feel a sense of relief. We feel like we want to put our feet up. We're just stressed to the eyeballs. Sometimes it is pure just habit, right? Think about habit. It's just something that we do. So I want you to think. So how we develop a skill in doing this is we really just explode this open. We just want to bring this all out so that we see it, because when we see it, we can do something about it. And I want you to just pick one little bit of it. So maybe your cue is, you know, when you see the kitchen clock, or you see the kitchen, or if you turn the kitchen light on, that's it, boom, you're off. I want you to just going to sit with that, and we're just going to notice it. And we're going to notice that if you do nothing in that moment, how does that feel? Probably feels really uncomfortable. And if that's right, then you are doing it right? And this is because in that moment, the brain is saying, what's going on? What's going on? It's 6 o'clock. Come on, I've given you all the clues. You need to go there. I'm creating this desire in you. Because, you know, the thing we do, Anna, the thing we do is we have the wine. I mean, that's what we do. That's what we do. That's what we do. And if you just sit with this, and we're not fighting this, that shows us that something different is happening. Here's the thing, this is a skill. This isn't obviously just as easy as sitting there with it. I have a lot of tools that I give my clients to work through on this, but I do want you to think that when it comes to cravings, we don't want to be surprised or confused by them, right? We can demystify them by just simply saying this is habitual desire. And I want you to also remember, you have practiced whatever that thing is that you do, whatever your craving, whatever your response to that craving, that's something you've really practiced, probably unintentionally, but you're probably really, 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 really good at doing that. And so in order to become really good at not doing that, we need to just start unwinding that. So I want you to, as you go through this week, and you can do this today, but as you go through the week, and you will probably know when your cravings appear, or when they're due to, or maybe actually you don't. So if you don't, that's kind of like the first thing to notice. But if you notice, you know when they're coming, and you know when you're in one. I want you to ask, what happened the moment before? Right? We want to start really expanding this out, because I'm not just going along a merry way, then all of a sudden, we're in a craving, and then we're kind of reacting. So what happened the moment before? Because I want you to see it. I want you to name that and see if you can understand that, right? Because that then becomes it's like the first domino. And if we can just add some space between that domino and the next thing. So, and I don't talk here about avoiding. If you listen to my podcast from dealing with cravings, we don't want to avoid, we don't want to distract, we don't want to fight ourselves on them. But if we start to notice them and we just get really curious, that is interesting. There we go. That's expected. I knew that would happen, and I'm not going to make anything of it. Just going to let that happen. The more you do this, these tiny 1% little things, this probably sounds very underwhelming. This does not sound sexy and does not sound interesting, but these tiny little 1% changes, you do this enough, this becomes something that you become more skilled at. And then you can move to the next phase of it, right? In terms of however, maybe a craving, the way it shows up in another part of your life. We just want to start breaking these down, because these are patterns, that these are habits that are layered on layered on layered on layered. But the moment you start chiseling through, it actually does not take a long time. It doesn't have to take a long elapsed time to change, but you need lots of repeats, which is why I always say it's great if you're a daily drinker, because you get every day, you get a chance to practice. All right, that was what I wanted to say today. So I mentioned earlier in my app, the Off Switch, so download the Off Switch app, and it's a drink planning app, and it helps you with it's less about tracking drinks and more about planning and what goes into it and why, because this is deeper, this is more behavioral change, but there is coaching now included in that app. And also, if you just want to pick one little habit, one little craving area to fix, maybe it's how you unwind at the end of the day, I do have a wine-free wind down kit that you can purchase that has a number of items in there. There's a meditation, and there's some sheets, and there's a little video and so on. All these things that are going to help you to just rewrite that one moment. I mean, start with one moment in the day, right? Whatever that is for you. So for me, it would have been the 6 p.m. moment. So you can start to rewrite that and handle the cravings there. And I will drop a link for that in the show notes. Otherwise, if you have questions and so on for me, let me know. But here's to a wine-free Wednesday, and I'll see you next week.